was adversely affected by my being in Scientology. He was very cool, you know, but he wasn't into it. He was happy for me. He never gave me any fucking thing about it, you know. But, and I think his wife, you know, I perceived that, you know, she was a little bit more like that. At any rate, and they were right. But, you know, and then everybody in Scientology, not everybody, that's a generalization. I'll give you people. Marty Rathbun, Susan Watson, Dave Pettit, a couple of RTC terminals people said, well, he's a 1-1 SP. Okay? In other words, trying to destroy my relationship with him, and it affected our relationship. 1-1 is a definition is covertly hostile. Hey man, I'm your friend. I really am. You fuck. You know, that's covertly hostile. Covertly hospital. And so one of the first things I did, I mean, you know, we'd stay in communication, but the further I got in, like that, and that's a loss, you know, let alone my family. You know, no, but my family, you know, shit, they don't fuck with me or anything, you know, but I've never been closer now that I'm out, you know, because they weren't into it. Everybody was totally respectful of me. Nobody ever said, you know, my mother said one thing once, you know, I just don't think it, you know, allows for the grace of God or something. That was the all, something, you know, because she's big Christian thing. Of course, I whipped out the whiz book and I gave her the right answer and handled her, you know. But the thing with Dave, this is just the other thing when I was thinking about I was laughing is as I got out, when I got out, one of the first people I went to go see was David. And, you know, his whole family was out of town, and I was just moving here, and now we live in the same city. And so I went over to his house, and, you know, we were just walking around, and we talked about it a little bit, just a little bit, you know, because I just said, oh, by the way. Yeah, I said, oh, okay. So we started to talk a little bit about, like, you know, OT levels and stuff like that, you know. And, you know, he doesn't watch South Park or whatever the fuck, but, you know, he doesn't know this whole... So, you know, what is that? You know, what is the, you know, what were you into? Why, what is the OT? Or, you know, or so, I don't know what, if he asked the question, but somehow I went and I explained to him. And here I am, you know, just kind of basically, it just walked out the door. And it did so much for me, but I started to explain to him the story of Zeno and the loyal officers. And I tell you, fuck me. I mean, I couldn't get a third of the way through the story, and we had our faces on the floor. We were laughing so hard. I mean, you couldn't even talk. It was just, because it's retarded. It's insane.
What was your reaction, though, when you saw the packet with the info? How did you react?
Well, that's the other thing I got to say. I mean, like I had told you earlier, I had been on a spiritual journey long before Scientology. This data is just, it's as different as the word Thetan is different from the word spirit. It's about that different. I mean, the Bible talks about the devil and demons. It's nomenclature. The, you know, entities is what they talk about in these New Age religions. So all that stuff about Thetans, I mean, it was a little because I was in Scientology heavily, so I was a little bit like this. But I thought, okay, and I remember that was my thought. I said, okay, well, that's obviously, it wasn't that big of a surprise to me. And I just thought, it's like one of those moments, now that I look back and really look at it, there was a moment where I could have woken up there. But you choose not to. And that's part of the reason why Scientology is expensive. You know. Well, if you're paying a lot of money for it, it makes it more valuable. And you give it more... It's like I was just listening to the fucking radio today. There's this guy. He was working at MTV, and they were in New York. This is just on NPR today. This guy, and he was on this art channel on NPR. And he was working at MTV, and they were talking about packaging and marketing and how important it is. And the guy, and he was talking and saying it was important, and that it was, this other guy said, it's not that important. He says, bullshit. And they had a little bit of an argument, and he said, well, let me see, let me show you something. And he went, and he was in New York, and he went and he grabbed little garbage, and he put them in little plastic boxes, and he put a little stamp on them and dated them and signed the, you know, and numbered them, and he's selling them for $50 each as art. Started as $10 as just, and that was like a little gift. But now that they're up there $50 and $100 each, the people are actually calling them art. So it's an interesting thing. So again, it's your own, you're driving the car. It's just that you don't realize that the car, as a Scientologist, because you're in the trap, it's got a pre-rigged route. It's called the bridge. And so you feel like this is this easy life. I just got to sit here and the car basically drives itself. All I got to do is show up at the church and I'll be happy. And there you are. And you're on the bridge to total freedom. To total freedom. Yeah, they free you from yourself.
That's one of the brutally ironic things about Scientology when they have a slogan called Think for Yourself.
Yeah.
And you find yourself thinking exactly what Scientology wants you to think, it seems.
No, but you're doing it yourself. That's why it's pretty good. I mean, it's really insidious. It's quite, it's so bold and bald-faced that, you know, you just would never suspect it. You know? It's another, reminds me, you remember those, I used to smoke cigarettes. And so I was smoking cigarettes and I wanted to quit and I couldn't quit and I'm smoking. And then these new cigarettes came out from American Spirits. And I say, and they're supposed to be all natural, right? And the fucking thing on it, it said addictive free. And I said, bullshit. So I start smoking and I'm down to like 2 cigarettes a day. And I'm like fucking disseminating the shit out of these things. They're the best cigarettes in the world. And I'm telling everybody, these are addictive free. I'm hardly smoking at all. I say, look, it's addictive free. It says, that's not, it says additive free. I went right back to a pack a day. So it's the same kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's you know, you're playing the game by yourself. It's a mental.
Well, I don't think it's fair to say by yourself, because it seems like this entire structure of Scientology has been built to funnel you onto the bridge and keep you on the bridge.
Yes, yes, and those people that I suspect, again, I'm not an expert, and this is some of the things. This is one of the things that I can't fully confront yet. I can say that, in my opinion, that the lion's share, at least. Well over 99% of your Sea Org people are the truest of the true believers, okay? So they are really there they're trying to help you, and they'll not take no for an answer. It's like, you know, your son wants to touch the stove, and, you know, you're willing to physically stop him, even though he's sure that he wants to see that beautiful blue thing that's dancing there and touch it, right? And maybe even put his hair in it or something, you know what I mean? He doesn't know what fire is. They are willing to give their lives practically to keep you on the bridge, because this is for your own good. So, but they are doing it. That's just one individual, and that individual is doing his job. There's not a lot of them that need to be told to get up in the morning. They're on autopilot too, but the whole group is it becomes, you know, this living, breathing thing. And the thing that I haven't quite confronted is I can't quite see what the fuck anybody gets out of it. Like, you know, is COB, does he want $300 million? Is that what it is? Does he want $1 billion?
And COB is David Miscavige.
I mean, is that it? Is it just this power hard on? Is, you know, or is it just insanity? You know, I mean, I wonder, is LRH, was he just crazy? You know, there are people, maybe he was an SP, you know, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, the jury's out for me. I haven't, like I said, I can't confirm. I don't see what the fucking, like, if I wanted money,